I am a queer girl. I love men and women equally, but I have never loved anyone as much as I love Jay. And he ticks almost all my boxes, but I don't tick all of his. So why would we be together for 4 years if I don't tick that many of his boxes? Because Jay believes in investing in people, even if they don't tick your boxes. If you want to change, learn about the change, and apply the change, that's a difference with you when it comes to investing in people. I changed a lot quickly in the beginning of our relationship, and then my growth slowed down significantly and then came to a halt. But now, recently, my growth has picked up again, but I'm back on my path and I've been taking steps to make sure that I am making his investment worth it. So today we're going to ask Jay about investing in people and how this looks exactly in a relationship. So Jay, what does investing in people actually mean?
It's a good question. Well, you've lived enough life that you can tell when you're investing in someone and when you're not. Name some things that you've invested in, some hobbies, some careers, some people, some relationships.
Well, I invested time and money and crafting and painting and learning how to do those things. I invested my life and my money in moving here to be with you. I invested time and love into my kids and to their dreams. So those examples I just used, though, I invested money. Is this what you mean, though?
You gave a big list.
Yeah.
You said you invested time. You invested money. You invested love. Right?
So more than
that was 3 things.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say you also invested energy and focus and attention.
That's good too. Yeah, I did.
You invested emotional intelligence or work or effort.
All right.
So quite a number of things show up in your list of what you invested in external things.
Right. And so is this what you mean then by investing in people?
Well, you tell me. Was that you investing in those hobbies, in those careers, in those people, in those families, in those relationships?
I mean, I never really thought about it before, but yeah.
Well, you turn around 20, 30, 40 years are gone by or whatever, and like that time is gone, that money is gone, those resources are gone. The energy is just, you invested it and either you got something back out of it, it paid off huge, it was the best investment you ever made, or it wasn't that great, live and learn, and you move on, right?
Yeah.
You ever have a hobby that you invested a ton of time in and never touched again?
Yes.
You ever have a relationship you invested a ton of energy in and it never really amounted to much?
Yeah, few.
So you kind of answered your own question. What is investing in people?
It means investing your time and love and money and energy and life basically into them. Okay. That's really good. This means more than just, I invested money, put money into this person or whatever, or this thing. So then what does that mean for a relationship? So like in the dating world, how does it translate to that? Because like kids and hobbies and businesses, people might understand investing and taking time and doing on that. But so many people out there, I watch a lot of dating podcasts and a lot of relationship content. And it seems like a lot of people aren't really willing to invest time and money and energy and love and all these things into other people.
Maybe so. It's a big world. Some people are willing to invest in others in relationships, and some people aren't so much. I don't know what podcasts you listen to or who you hang around.
Well, like the Whatever podcast, Brian Atlas's podcast, he brings on modern women, young girls who are, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are promiscuous. They are demanding and very entitled, and they are expecting men to come into the relationship with $100,000, perfect credit, and to give them everything so they don't have to work and they don't have to do anything. But they're going to do OnlyFans until they meet that guy. But they're not willing to do what you've done, which is invest in somebody who doesn't quite tick all your boxes to grow with them. So this is why I wanted to talk about like how this exactly can help them on Brian's podcast.
Sure. I'm just saying, you asked, how does this look in a relationship? And to me, I mean, investing in people is investing in people, right?
Yeah.
Does it really look different?
I guess. But it's funny though, because I've known that you do this because we've talked about this before personally together. about our own relationship, about investing in each other and stuff. But I never considered it for the other relationships in my life, as weird and dumb as that might sound. I never really thought of it.
Well, think about it. Any mom has this blob of flesh that's really just mostly a giant burden resource wise. I'm not saying kids don't provide joy or growth experiences or something, but for the most part, they're just a giant resource suck for many years.
Yes.
They don't pay off as an investment
Sometimes
immediately.
They never do, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes never. Like if you're estranged from your family or something. But I don't think the moms really regret it. The human race would end if that was the case. Like no mom would ever invest ever again.
True.
Be like, this is a giant gamble, huge waste of time, resources. I'm not going to do it. But moms continue to invest all their time and energy and love and care and emotions and effort into these blobs with the aim or the intention of raising up a valuable member of society that pays off. Like they want their investment, all the time and care they invest to pay off. They really want to see their kids thrive and blossom and become amazing human beings.
Yeah, well, when my kids were little and they would get upset with me over whatever, they didn't follow my rules in the house, and they would say, that's not fair, and you're so mean, and I would say, yeah, but it's my job to raise you to be a proper adult.
Yeah.
So this is what you mean, like the investment.
I'm just saying, every mom knows they're investing in their child, and every mom knows, just like any investment, it may pay off huge or it may not quite go the way you thought.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's a relationship between a mom and a child, but a relationship between like two partners or two spouses or whatever. Mm-hmm. Still kind of the same thing. You're investing time, energy, money, resources, effort, and so on, hoping it's going to result in a great relationship together. But you also know somewhere in the back of your mind that this investment might not pay off, and it doesn't always go this way. And maybe you can influence the chances and become like the world's best relationship partner, and maybe it'll go well. But even then, it's not guaranteed. And it's the same between a boss and an employee. Are you going to hire some intern at a school, some volunteer for peanuts? Or are you going to invest a huge chunk of money to get the top talent in the field? Are you going to land somewhere in between on your employee, get someone who's okay, but kind of a fixer-upper, and you're going to train them and bring them up to speed with your company or your business, right? Right. The boss invests in the employee.
Right.
And the employee can just take all the skills and go work for somebody else. And the boss is like, that was a giant waste of my time and energy.
Right.
Or the employee could become partner in the business, just crushing it. The best person you could have ever brought around. It's an investment. You see, every relationship is some level of investment anyways. And some people are good at investing in these relationships, and some people are bad at it, and some people are worthwhile investments that pay off huge, and some people are write-offs that we're sorry we ever invested in. And I mean, hopefully you live, learn, and always get a benefit from it, but you're not looking back and thinking like, yeah, that was a sweet investment. Right? This is how it goes. You can't argue with any of these realities. This is how humanity is. People investing in people since the dawn of time. But these days, or more and more often, it seems people are trying to get something for nothing. They're trying to get all the goodness without the investment.
Yeah.
This is basically the definition of entitlement.
Yeah. And these girls that I was talking about on the whatever podcast, it's over and over seeing these kinds of people who they're entitled. They're not willing to make any kind of investment. They just want the immediate satisfaction of what they want in that moment.
Yeah, you see it on the pre-game show with Pearl too. Yeah, like you said, Brian Atlas's whatever podcast. Yeah, it's out there.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Because I feel like if those kinds of girls on Pearl's podcast or Brian's would hear this about investing and knowing how you've invested in somebody who doesn't tick all your boxes, like today, but is aiming to tick them later in time, perhaps they wouldn't be that way. Perhaps they wouldn't feel as entitled if they even realized that they could find someone who doesn't tick all the boxes and then invest in them and grow with them so that they can have those boxes ticked together, because that's what we're aiming to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, the whole tick boxes thing is a huge topic anyways.
I think that could be a whole podcast, to be honest with you. So maybe you can touch on that a little bit now.
Sure.
Okay.
So we have matchmaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's common. It's happened since the beginning. Whether you're doing your own matchmaking or having an arranged marriage or popping on Tinder, you're trying to match with someone.
Yeah.
Hopefully matching is a basic concept I don't need to explain.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But how do those matches happen? Those matches happen with a bunch of hidden little check boxes. If you imagine two columns in your head, imagine two columns, one for each person, one for, we'll just go basic straight cis hetero relationships or whatever, okay? But it applies to everything. So the girl has in her head a bunch of check boxes of things that she values. She values these things in a partner, in a mate. So we can say Jessica values wit. Number one, it's super important to her. It's like a huge giant checkbox at the top. And then she values money as the next one, or confidence. So she values wit, confidence, money, height, family man, fidelity, adventurousness, and travel, or something like this.
Right.
So, quite a few checkboxes. And there's probably even more down below. But as they get lower down, they're less important.
Okay.
And so in her life or in her mind or in her view, if she finds a really witty guy who really fulfills that, or he fulfills the wit and decent money and he's confident, those are the three big boxes for her. And so she might start making compromises. Like, you know what? He's not that adventurous or traveling, but his money could fly me around the world. I could travel on my own. Like, she starts making these value adjustments based on how many checkboxes are checked off. Now, if he didn't have confidence and wit and money, but he was super adventurous in travel, and he reads her profile or matches with her, and he's like, but you love travel and you love adventure. That's me. That's totally me. We're a great fit. But he can't see the invisible checkboxes, and he doesn't know, like, dude, you do not fit her top three criteria at all. And so then we imagine the second candidate, Trevor. And Trevor has his own boxes for who he wants to get with, what he values in a woman. And, number one for him is looks or beauty, very common. Or maybe he values purity and fidelity. Like, he wants a loyal girl and he values virginity. Let's say that's like the number one thing. So he's looking for a virgin, but he doesn't write that on his profile, but it's a major checkbox for him. And then his second checkbox is looks, like he wants some curvy supermodel or something, but he doesn't put that on his profile either, because both of those are like embarrassing and he's ashamed to go put that on in public. And so then he starts listing his like third and fourth and fifth boxes. I want a girl who's friendly and bubbly, and I want one who's short, like 5'2" or whatever, and she has to love dogs. And these checkboxes are lower and lower down, and they're smaller and smaller. And so then she sees that, oh, I'm a short dog lover. We're a perfect fit. Let's match.
Right.
And then they may or may not figure out each other's boxes anywhere along the way. Like, they may come out on the first date. They may come out months from now. And when you want to click with someone, a real good click is when enough of those boxes match naturally and organically that each person feels quite fulfilled. And they're like, maybe there's a couple tiny minor boxes at the bottom of the list that aren't fulfilled or something. It's like, whatever, dude. I'm not going to find better than this. This is fantastic. We are a good click. But there are some people who want to hold out for every single box. They have like 1,000 boxes and they want all of them met right off the bat.
Right.
Or there are people who match and they fulfill each other's boxes, but people grow and change. This isn't some kind of like form on Amazon that you fill out and that's it. You have your person.
Right.
You might have found that virgin at the beginning, but turns out she wants to explore life and have some adventures. And now she wants to be poly, or now she wants to be a star or something.
Right.
And it's like, man, you just unchecked my biggest, main, most important box. And now we have a problem. Now we're going to have a fight. And then it's like, you're always trying to control me. And it's like, you're not the girl I met. And it's like, no, she's not. She changed. And so I don't know if these boxes are going to be compatible anymore. And so this is just a fact. This exists inside the hearts and minds of every human, because every human being has desires. They desire things. This is why some people want a certain kind of partner and other people want a different kind of partner. And some people don't even know what they want, but they know when a box is not fitting and something's not checked off and they're like, no, this isn't for me. And they still can't articulate what they want, but those boxes are still at work behind the scene. They go date somebody and that person's not tidy and they never knew they wanted a tidy person, but now they're in the relationship and that box is not checked and they're just like, I gotta go.
No.
And then maybe they have enough self-awareness to know for next time, like, okay, I do need a tidy person from now on, and they become aware of one of their boxes. But
Right.
if they had more self-knowledge or more experience, they could have been aware of that box beforehand going in. They could have listed it on the profile, filtered out all the messy people, and had a much easier time of things.
Yes. Yeah.
And to me, knowing this makes relationships so simple. If an employee has a box at the top that's like health benefits, and that's their top number one box, and then they have short commute, that's their second box, and then they have not too much overtime, that's their third box, and then they have paid vacation. That's their fourth box. And then they have work I'm passionate about. And that's like their fifth box. And they actually care about other stuff more than being in a field they love. And then they go meet a boss or they apply for a job and it's in a field they love. It's computer coding or something. And they meet a boss who needs a programmer. And the boss is excited, like, oh, you love programming. That's one of your favorite fields. You put it on your resume. You said you love coding. This is going to be a good fit. I feel really good about this. And the employee is like, well, I don't have any job right now. And I haven't checked any of the other boxes. So I guess I'll just say yes to this. And
Right.
But he's 1 foot out the door. He's like, I have other boxes to check, man.
Before he even starts, he's out 1 foot out the door, I guess.
But the boss doesn't quite realize it.
Right.
And the boss doesn't provide health benefits. And the boss doesn't have a short commute and so on and so forth. And so whoever's unaware of the boxes or how the boxes work is in for a rude awakening and a rough time in the relationship. And when the person dips, they're surprised. The boss is like, what? You love programming. I've seen you do it. I know you love it. Well, I don't understand. But the employee is like, dude, if you knew my boxes, like you have a long commute. You ain't got no health benefits. I'm not seeing much paid vacation. You make me work overtime. Like none of these boxes check.
Yeah. They were willing to forego the other boxes and pick up one of the boxes that they did check.
Yeah. And you could argue that the employee should have never taken that job in the first place.
Right.
Why are you picking a job? You know you're 1 foot out the door. It has one box checked. You have zero standards. You're too like lazy to look around for more. You're like desperate or panicked and I have to take whatever. I don't know. Like, why did you take this?
Yeah.
Why did you take this?
Yeah.
There's literally no other job on the planet. Get out of here. But you took it and now the boss is stuck with someone he thinks is going to stick around and doesn't. Then the boss invests in you and teaches you programming skills and does everything, just trying their best to make a good environment. All you had to do is be like, dude, you don't have any of my boxes checked. Call me back when you get health benefits. Like,
yeah. It's funny that you say this because I recently applied for a sales job, knowing that sales, even though I'm good at it, it's just not my favorite thing to do. And on the interview, I realized it, and I was like, you know what? Thank you for the opportunity, but I don't think it's going to be a good fit. But thank you. But old me would have been panicked and like, well, I really need to make some extra money quick right now. So I'm just going to take that job. And then I would have been miserable and I would have burned a bridge.
You can do it. I'm not here to judge people's choices.
No, I know. Yeah.
If you want to take that job that checks zero boxes, go ahead, but you're asking for trouble. And you could argue that the boss needs to do better due diligence and filtering and ask better questions and really get to the heart of what's important to this employee before hiring them. Mm-hmm. So you can argue either side, both sides, whatever. The point is, this box system that's at work in everybody's hearts and minds is super important. And if you understand it, you can navigate relationships extremely well. Even in a 50-year marriage, people grow. And all of a sudden you want to start going to church. Church becomes a top box for you. It's like, I can roll with this or I can not roll with this. I can understand what's happening and see the box is changing and figure out a way and cooperate with it and try to make sure your box is filled or something. Find you a friend to go with. So I can do something, or I can just get mad at you and fight and say, you shouldn't have that box. When I met you, you weren't into church. And how dare you have this box? I can just get all pissy about it. You could try and fight the box system, but good luck to you. You look at Kim and Kanye, they got together and they had a certain boxes checked. Mm-hmm. You're famous, I'm famous, yada, yada, yada. But somewhere along the way with family or with OnlyFans or Christianity or whatever they came across, some boxes changed. And one or both of them didn't really understand the shifting priorities and how boxes got bigger and more important and which ones rose to the top. And now they're fighting and it's like, why aren't you fulfilling this need of mine or caring about my values or whatever? It's like, well, why aren't you caring about mine? And you weren't like this in the beginning. It's like, y'all got to see the change in boxes.
Yeah.
Or you're going to separate.
Well, this is really good because with my ex-husband, in the beginning, the boxes were, I need somebody who does drugs, because at the time I was using, to me, is actually important when that something's the center of your life. And then somebody that was okay around kids, because I had 2 little kids, and someone that had a job and had a car and had their own place, because I didn't want them all in my house all the time. And he ticked those boxes. And as time went on, because I was in the haze of drug addiction, I didn't pay attention to anything outside of these very silly boxes. I mean, some of them, like the kids thing, were important, through the whole thing. But over time, after 15 years, the boxes that I had hidden for so long started forcing their way to the top.
Yeah, like I want someone ambitious. That's a really top box for me.
Yes, because at the time, of course, ambition was, I wasn't even thinking about that. That was at the bottom of the list because I walked away from my own ambition to use drugs. And so when it came up and I tried to force him
To check that box.
and we just butted heads, and I didn't understand why he wasn't ambitious. And don't you understand that this is important to me? But it wasn't important when we met, but it always was. I just didn't.
You weren't upfront about the box.
Yeah.
You weren't aware of it. You weren't focused on it. You did not make it clear to anybody.
No.
And then over time, you surprised it on him, sprung it on him.
Yeah.
But all good. Even if that happens, people change. Now it's up to him. Okay, fine. The ambition box is starting to seem important. So is he going to fulfill that box? Or be like, that's not me. That's never who I was. And I guess you've outgrown me or something.
Yeah.
Right? People can't be this honest and self-aware. I mean, they can, but it's super rare.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, like, I can do it. I can tell when the boxes are changing. It takes practice, but you can do it. I know how to adapt and change and roll with the punches and adjust to someone's changing values. And I know when we have to separate and there's like a box clash and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, but I just wanted to mention the time where we had kind of a clash on communication when we were living in the other apartment together. And it was just something simple. It was like, I made you tea and I thought you were going to come out and join me, but we never talked about it. And so the tea was made and I didn't say to you, it's ready, for you to even say I'm coming or bring it to me or whatever. And so when I finally got it to you and you were like, is there something that I need to change to improve the communications? Is there something I need to do? And I think I cried because no one had ever said that to me in my life. Like, what do you mean?
Because I didn't want the mix up to happen again.
Right. I know.
I'm like, this is terrible. If there's anything I can do to avoid this kind of thing, I'm happy to do it.
Right. And that ticked a box that I didn't even know that I had, this empty little tiny box that was like way at the bottom, but that I ignored. And all of a sudden, you ticked this box and it was game changer for both of us in our relationship. Just that, asking me, is there something that I can change or do to be better? I was like, what? Well, there's what? Even now still, I'm like, that feeling is coming back and that's how you are. But the fact was that I had this tiny box hidden and you had no problem checking it. So that's all. I just wanted to share that because I thought it was interesting. And it's okay if you have boxes that you don't even know about, and then later you realize I need to have these checked. It's okay. And with my ex, I remember telling him one time, I'm growing, I'm going this way, and you can join me. We can go together. And I didn't know any of your teachings then. I said, you can come with me and we can go together. Or I'm going this way and you're going this way. And that's what ended up happening because we're just not, our boxes were like the ones he ticked in the beginning didn't matter to me. I didn't want anyone to use drugs. I didn't care if you had a car when we lived in the city, so.
Yeah. So when you invest in someone, ideally you check a bunch of their boxes so they want to be around you. They're like, this is a good match.
Yes.
And if they don't check your boxes, the aim here is to be with someone who wants to check your boxes, and they will with a little investment. So with the employee and the boss, the programmer joins the boss, and the boss is going to invest in the programmer. And so maybe the programmer doesn't know Visual Basic or C++ or Pascal or assembler code or some programming language, right? He doesn't know all of them.
Yeah, I don't know it either.
Right. But the boss is like, but he loves programming. And that's a good box to check. And if he's willing to learn new languages, I'll train him. I'll invest in him.
Right.
And the employee, he actually does have one of the boxes. Like he does want to check those boxes. He loves programming and he'd love to learn assembler or Visual Basic or C++ or Pascal or whatever. So it's good. It seems like a good fit. The boss can invest and train and give him these skills. And then the employee will now be an even better fit. And together they'll be shining like a star.
Right.
Because now the employee is checking those boxes he didn't check in the first place. But in our example, that would never happen because there's so many other important boxes to check. It would just be a bad investment by the boss, period.
Agreed.
This would not pay off in any way.
Right.
The employee would get all the skills, the boss would waste all the time and energy, and then the employee would dip because he was never a fit in the first place.
Yeah.
So this could just cripple the boss's business. Like he could have hired someone great and thrived. Instead, he just hired like a money pit and then the person left.
Right.
All because of this box system, this hidden box system going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. And everybody has these. We all do.
Yeah. Or you could get a guy who's not as rich as you want, but he ticks the other boxes. He's witty, he's confident, he's a family man, whatever. And you're like, but he doesn't have the money. It's like, sure. But what are you willing to train him? Are you willing to invest in him? Will you go promote his business? Will you introduce him to people? Will you buy him some business books? Will you sit down and quiz him on entrepreneurial skills? Like, are you willing to invest in this man? And if he does become rich, like your investment pays off and now he's an even better match for you.
Yeah.
And it's an epic fit. But for that to happen, he has to be ambitious enough. He has to want to become wealthy, right? You can't invest in someone and force a bunch of skills on them that they don't want to become. You have to invest in someone who already wants those things, or it's a big problem.
Yeah, I made that mistake trying to get him to be ambitious by sending him stuff and giving him stuff and trying to teach him things that he wasn't interested in learning. And it would frustrate me more and more. So then in that process, more boxes became unticked because there was drama and there was fighting and there was frustration, and he's not helping me with, as at the time I had my own business, he's not helping me with my business. So I wanted to bring him in so he could learn my business at the time was reselling, so that we could work together and grow that and then grow something else. This was my plan. But apparently I have a problem with making secret plans in my head and not telling my partners.
Yeah, well, you had boxes like peace and harmony and teamwork.
Yes.
But it seems unlikely you ever made those boxes clear. And so now he's not checking those either. And it just gets worse and worse. Yes. And then you guys separate.
Yes.
And there's other problems too. Like even if you're aware of the box system, some people are very charming and very good at picking out your boxes and pretending to fill them. This is a narcissistic thing to do. They pretend that they're your everything. If you like somebody rich, they'll do their best to look rich or act rich or pretend they're working on being rich, and they'll trick you into investing in them.
Right.
So you're queer. So let's say you make it clear that you want a very fit girl. I don't know, athletic or sporty, or you want a very curvaceous girl, or you want a very slim, thick girl. They'll be like, well, I'm not that shape right now, but I'm going to hit the gym and I've got yoga queued up and I'm going to work on this and I got a personal trainer. Don't worry. We should still get together. And if it's just all words and you believe them, then they have just tricked you into investing in them. You're like, okay, I'll help you get there. Even though it's a box they don't check,
right?
They don't currently check, and they're not even intending to check it. They're just tricking you.
They're just talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they have an agenda, which is to keep you around.
Right.
And they will talk and say whatever to keep you around. And so this makes the waters kind of murky because now it's like, do I invest in this person? They say they want to become rich or they say they want to become thin. So I'll help them check that box. And
yes,
then you put in a ton of work and they just fight you all the way along and like make excuses and waste all your time. And at the end, they haven't changed at all. And you're like, why did I invest all this time? Well, you thought they wanted to check that box. They made you think that and you believed them.
Yeah, that's happened to me in other relationships.
Yeah, I'm sure it has.
On both sides, like being the person who said I wanted to do something and then not doing it because I genuinely did when I said it, and then just, I don't know, like just like didn't do it, and it was not the best idea. This is not a good thing. And I know it can be tempting sometimes. This is just a side thing I want to mention. That I know it can be tempting when it's somebody that you really, really like, because I did it with you too. Like, I want this, I want that, like all the things that I really did want, but then I let my insecurities and things get in the way. And so I didn't do them, even though I genuinely had the desire when I said it, but I wasn't skilled enough and self-aware enough and confident enough to know or believe in myself that I could be with you and still take steps to be that person. So instead I was like, I'm not going to do it. And it's happened to be the other side too, where people have promised me a million things and nothing came out of that either. So I know.
Yeah. And they tricked you into investing in them.
Yeah.
And I bet you invested time and money and years, and they never changed and they never ticked those boxes.
Yes.
But they faked it. They pretended they were going to tick those boxes. So this is part of the investment game. If you're going to invest in someone, that's fantastic. We need more people on earth investing in one another.
Yes.
That's wonderful. But you have to be good at it. You have to be good at navigating investments. You have to be good at spotting the boxes and spotting people who are fakers and like just telling you they're going to change or telling you they're going to become rich or whatever. Because you don't want to invest in the employee that's just going to dip. And you don't want to invest in the guy who pretends he wants to be wealthy, but he's just a layabout. Like,
right.
Yeah, it's really important that you spot people's boxes for real, not what they're claiming.
Okay, so then even though I have more questions, this is out of that. How can we, everyone watching and me included, how can we recognize when it's BS coming out of the mouth and not actual, this is, I'm doing this to tick this box because I want to?
Basically, you put them on mute because actions don't lie. Consistent, prolonged actions. Just imagine that you had a remote control and you could mute that person.
Okay.
This means you're ignoring everything they say. It's nothing. You're not hearing it at all. So if I put two fat people in front of you and one says, I love myself how I am, I don't intend to change. And the other one says, no, this is not good. Don't worry, I'm going to get thin.
Mm-hmm.
But both of them secretly have their own box that says, be lazy, like stay this shape or avoid the gym or whatever their box is.
Right.
They both have this box. Can you tell though which one has which box? Like the truth is they both have this I'm going to stay fat box. That's my value. That's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the one who's passionately telling you, no, this is not for me. I am going to change. Any guy who's going to date these people is going to get tricked by the words.
Yeah, he is going to get tricked by that.
Right. But if you put them both on mute and you watch them for the next week, they both get up, they both eat Cheetos, they both skip the gym, they both make zero changes to their life. This one's doing it honestly and upfront because she likes being that way.
Right.
And this one's faking it the whole way,
right?
Claiming the opposite the whole way. And if you listen to people's words, like basically if people are talking, they're lying.
So this girl says she's going to the gym. Instead, she goes to the store and buys ice cream. And this girl doesn't lie and still goes and buys ice cream.
Exactly.
So, okay.
But
I got you.
But this one, at least I know if I'm in a date, I know like, well, there's no point. Her box is not checked and she's not interested in becoming this slim girl that I'm looking for.
Yes.
So there's no point investing in this one. At least she's honest enough not to waste my fucking time, right?
Yeah, right.
This one is like, I'm going to suck you into a 4-year battle where I pretend to get thin.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm saying like this one makes it way tougher, way trickier, but it's okay because that's life. That's the world. And it's up to us to see through the bullshit. Like it's still on me if I buy into that. It's still my bad if I listen to those people's words instead of observing their consistent actions over time. Someone who really wants to change, I could put a third girl in who is also fat, but she says she wants to get thin, and I put her on mute and I watch her actions, and what she does is she, instead of sitting at her computer, she stands at her computer, and she tells me because she wants to burn extra calories. And instead of taking the bus or Uber, she walks to the library or whatever. And I'm watching and I'm like, well, her actions are different than the other two. Damn, this girl is serious about changing. And it's not just that. Then she's like, I can't afford a gym membership, but I'm planning on it. And so I watch her walk to some shitty Starbucks job or something, McDonald's, and she's just doing it just to get fit. She hates the job, but she actually cares about changing. And she's like, I'm getting the money for my gym membership. It's like, damn, this girl's serious. And when you see that, you're like, that's someone to invest in. She wants to change her checkbox. She wants to become that thin girl that I'm looking for. This is someone who's worth investing in.
Right.
But most people, they want to be lazy, just listen to someone's words. Oh, she said she wanted to be thin, so we could date, right? And then years later, she hasn't changed. And the guy wants to blame her. She said she was going to be thin. It's like, no, dude, you turned your brain off. You stopped looking at their actions and you started investing in someone who's just faking it.
Right. And it makes a lot of sense because if I had been paying close attention to the actions, if I had muted those people in my life, then I would have seen very clearly, very quickly that they were full of crap. Maybe not everybody. And it's interesting because there's someone I know in my past who took some action and then stopped. and then took some action and stopped.
Yeah, well, you got to watch their actions over time consistently.
I was just going to
Are
say,
they passionately doing it on the daily? Like,
is it something they're obsessed with? Isn't it's so for me?
Are they about it?
Right. So for me, I was super passionate and like all about losing a lot of weight, and I did, and then I stopped and plateaued because I convinced myself that my business needed to come first before my body, but actually that's not a good idea. It's the body, mind, and finances. These are the top three things that need to be worked on for everyone, really. And it's deeper for me now than it was back then. Back then it was just going to the gym every day, but I still ate what I felt like. I didn't count calories. And now it's very strict with what I'm eating. I'm paying very much attention. I'm watching a lot of videos. I'm reading a lot of things.
You're about it.
And I'm about it. And not just that, but it's expanding, like researching and learning about love and business and market. Like it's all starting to bleed out to that. But it's like you said, all about it, where I was kind of about it before. And I did, like, I had results, but the difference between then and now is huge, 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 huge. So this is very good. Thank you. So you've spent years investing in people, even when it left you homeless and broke, and yet you continue to invest in people. Here we are together, even after, welcome back, by the way, to the studio, because we were apart for a little bit, and it's good to have you back in the studio. So my question is, why do you believe in investing in people instead of taking them as they are?
Okay, first of all, you're right. I've made a ton of shitty investments in people for huge amounts of time, for massive betrayals and zero ROI. And I ended up broke and destitute and like really hurting because of it, physically in bad condition. And that's fine. Every investor has to lose sometimes, and some investors lose big time. That's part of life. And when we do that, we either learn and become better investors, slowly or quickly, or we become bitter, jaded, cynical people who never want to invest ever again.
The majority of people feel like this at some point.
Sure, but does that sound healthy? Do you want to become a better investor, or do you want to become a guarded, bitter, cynical, walled-off person who never invests ever again? Like,
no.
It's a gimme. Come on. And I'm a good example of it because I've been like stabbed in the side like Judas with the spear like a billion times, right? And so you'd think I would never want to invest in someone again. But for humanity, like you want to show love and you want to become a better person. And it's kind of my bad anyways, like not seeing the signs and not investing wisely or investing too long in something that's going nowhere or whatever. These are all the skills of an investor. I like how you're more emotional about my shit life than I am.
I mean, because I know a lot of the details, and so
do I. I lived through them.
I know, but I care about you, and I love you so much, and like I know I'm in there too.
It's all good.
I'm not at the same level as some people, but still, I care. So that's why.
Thanks. The point is, I still invest because this is what humanity needs. This is what being human is all about. This is what it is to live a real, full, proper, healthy life. You are someone who invests in others and loves them and shows love when it is hard. There's no point showing love when everything's going your way and you're not being betrayed. Anyone can show love when they're not being betrayed. Oh, I'm getting showered with every gift I love and everyone's treating me well. I'm a very loving person. Like, no, love is like your courage muscles. It's like your bravery muscles. It's like what you show in the face of hardship. So great, bring on the hardship and I'll show you how loving I am. And this is what we need. We don't need more walled off, closed people who are so fragile and unable to deal that they simply refuse to invest in anyone for fear of that investment not paying off.
I think a lot of people are afraid to get hurt again.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
But think about it. When you were all kids, were you afraid of getting hurt?
No.
Yeah, you put your hand on a stove intentionally. You would try walking and fall and bang your knee and stuff. But you knew being hurt is worth it. Being hurt is a worthwhile part of life. So I don't know what happens. Like as people become adults, they're like, you know what? Never hurt again. I'm not going to bang my knee. I'm not going to stub my toe. I'm not going to get burnt by a stove. I'm not going to practice anything. I'm not going to try a new skill. I'm not going to invest in anyone. I'm definitely not going to be vulnerable or open up my heart. Screw that. I am going to live in a bubble. I'm the bubble boy and I live in safety. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
I want to be around all these people when they were kids. They were way more fun. They were living life proper, growing like a boss. They were like blossoming, learning. Now they're all like shell-shocked adults who refuse to be loving to anyone and open up to anyone. It's like, I don't want to be around this.
Yeah, it's true. I
mean, I do. I love adults too, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's no contest compared to how they were when they were kids.
Yeah. I got you. I have a friend who you don't
get out of here.
You don't. You're so mean.
Okay, you have a friend.
No, not a friend.
I'm with you.
It's so rude.
Just kidding.
I know. My friend, I don't want to call her out on the podcast, but I have a friend that you haven't met yet here in Toronto who has a year ago broke up with somebody and has completely decided that she is shut down for all eternity. And she's older than us. Like, this is not, and even though you said all that stuff about kids, in most adults' mind, they think kids would do something like that. Like, I'm done, forget people, I can't, like, my whole belief system is done. That should have never happened. And like, I'm in pain for the rest of my life. This is the decision that you've made to be in pain for the rest of your life instead of learning from it and embracing it. And is just what you were saying just reminded me of her. And it's funny because I see glimpses of the person that she was before that. Super kind, funny, loving. She's a really nice person. And whenever she brings this up and says those things, I just want to reach in and pull like that pain out so that she understands that this is not the way life is. But I can't do that for her. I can't do that for anyone, unfortunately. But yeah, this is super helpful. Thank you so much. You are amazing. One of the things that I loved about you, the thing that I thought was really interesting is how you believe this, how you believe in investing in people. And it's not just people that you're in a romantic relationship with. It's not just me or your exes or like anyone that you care about. I've seen you do it. I've seen you invest in other people, even when with the chance that you may never make money, you may never get the project or the thing to happen. You go all in and invest like you know it's 100% going to pay off. And I think this is something a lot of people really could get better at it. And I've gotten much better at this, but I could definitely still practice this and work on it.
Well, like I said, there are downsides. I don't know if I'd recommend my path. It's like, it sounds good. He just keeps investing in people, but it's like...
Yeah, but like you said, do you want to be the person who's closed yourself off to never loving anyone again and not taking a chance and not being a kind, generous, sweet person? Or do you want to be the beautiful, wonderful, open-hearted person who invests in people and just gives love, you know?
Yeah, that's the best. And I aim for that. I'm just saying that takes a lot of skill, and you may go through some pretty hard lumps. And if you don't learn quickly, you can end up poor for decades as you invest in people and think you're doing the right thing. It's like if you're a poor investor or a poor judge of character, sure, you're loving to other people, but you're signing up for a lot of hurt, right?
Yeah, I guess it's good to kind of a disclaimer to this is if you're going to choose to invest fully in everyone every time, you may you may have to take some pretty hard lumps.
And you got to get good fast. You need to be a wise investor.
And I think maybe for the general population who haven't practiced this and haven't understood this, that perhaps some baby steps towards this would be helpful.
Start small, invest in one person for a certain amount of time, give yourself a due date and be like, I'll invest as much as I can. And then if it doesn't pay off, and learn as you go. And you'll start to develop your radar for people and know who to invest in and know who not to. And you'll know who to give second chances to and how long it should last and stuff. But this stuff gets learned through experience and hard knocks. And so then we're back to, I don't want to get hurt. And it's like, well, then you'll never learn.
Yeah, if you're just, I don't want to get hurt, then you're not ever really going to fully be able to open yourself up and invest in someone else, because life brings pain. Life is so much joy and beauty and happiness, but there are pockets of pain.
Yeah, if you want to learn to swim, you have to get some water in your lungs. If you want to ride a bike, you have to skin your knee once in a while. If you're not open to being hurt, then forget it. You don't learn anything. You grow nothing. You gain no skills. You're going to sit in stagnation. And it's fine. Make your choice. I choose to be open and vulnerable and hurt so I can get better and improve.
Yeah, agreed.
That's how I live life. It's full life.
I love that. I love that. I love that you're like that. I love that about you. And I've become more of that kind of person. So thank you. Thank you. When I was married before, one of the things that kept me with him was his potential. I saw a ton of potential in this person, right? And I knew he was smart and could really do something cool with that potential if he wanted to. The thing is, he didn't want to, like I mentioned earlier, and he never expressed ambition, even when I told him his lack of ambition would kill our marriage, which it did. So I let his potential keep me around longer than it should have. Why do so many people praise potential and stay with somebody who isn't doing anything with that potential?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is just they're bad investors. Like, they're not experienced at investing in other people. They're getting their feet wet with investing in other people. And so they find a partner or a relationship and they're like, they see some good things and they're like, I'm going to invest in this. I've done this many times. And they're optimistic and they're happy and they're like, this person's going to check all my boxes pretty soon. I'll just invest in their potential. Common investor mistake. They're just getting used to investing. It sounds good. It sounds loving. It's like a kind thing to do. Believe in people and invest in them. Help them reach their potential, and you guys can say all the C's together.
Right.
It sounds great, but what's the mistake? The mistake is that there are like 2 meters or 2 bars, 2 bar graphs going on behind the scenes. There's the person's potential, and maybe their potential is high. Maybe you can see it. Great. But there's also their ambition or their readiness to change or their desire for change. I don't know what you want to call the second meter.
I'm sorry. I just thought about the conversation we had this morning, and it's open to the change. It's being open to receiving whatever lesson or being open to change.
So there's these 2 meters, and everyone who makes this mistake is usually focused on this meter, the high potential, and it's like shiny and new, and it's like, man, this person has skill. They could be rich, they could be super hot, they could be whatever. I see the potential, and they are all about this meter. And when they match with somebody or get involved with somebody with that much potential, it's very exciting. And they're like, I think I just hit the mother lode. This is it. This is my partner. Yeah, I just have to help them like release the potential or realize the potential. But other than that, I'm great. And so they get attached. They get invested. And what happens when people invest a lot of money? Like, have you ever seen a gambler invest a lot of money at a slot machine or a table? And they're like, just one more pull, just one more hour. Because they're like, it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off.
One more hit. Yeah.
And so this is what happens. They get addicted to the potential and they keep, pulling the one-arm bandit or trying to invest and trying to get the potential to be realized. And the whole time they're ignoring this other meter. Desire for change, ambition to realize potential. And a lot of times, the desire or ambition for change is crazy low.
Yeah.
And that matters a lot. This meter is actually more important than just their awesome potential. You show me some genius with crazy potential, but who doesn't want to get off the couch and hates people and hates life and he just wants to be a hermit. He has zero desire for it. I'll show you the worst investment ever.
Yeah.
Don't invest in this person's potential. This meter matters so much, but people who are new to investing in human beings don't even see it.
Yeah.
And then they invest all this time, energy, effort, resources, and it goes nowhere because it has to go nowhere because this is so important.
Yes.
And it's not going to magically change anytime soon. That's like hard life lessons can turn your ambition around or something. Like hard life lessons can change your desire, but my spouse wants me to do better will never change this meter.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah. And so that's where the mistake happens. And they get attached and invested and they have sunk cost fallacy or fears. And now they're basically trapped in there because they can't bear to admit they screwed up and made a poor investment and that this meter is not going to change, and they can't bear to cut their losses and move forward with their life. And so they just get stuck to this like a boat anchor or a ball and chain, getting dragged around by this unambitious person with tons of potential. Yes. And they just keep sinking more and more money and time and resources into it until 20 years are gone by and they're like, I wasted 20 years of my life on this person. It's like, yeah, you did. But like, if you woke up or opened your eyes, you could see that this person has no desire to change or no ambition to change. And it helps if you mute them because then all they're like, yeah, I'm gonna change doesn't fake you out, and you watch their actions and you see this person has no intention of changing, or they half-ass a tiny bit of change and then stop. It's like someone who's really about it would never do that. Someone who had a high ambition for change, they'd be changing with or without you. You'd be seeing it happening already.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And I've made this mistake many times, way too many times. You're supposed to learn after one getting burned once or twice. I've made this mistake like 8 times, like the biggest moron on planet Earth. And I'm just going to admit it. But now I finally learned it. And now I know it better than anyone else. And now I can spot it from a mile away, and I can see when other people are making that mistake. I'm like the pro at this whole area of life.
Yeah. No.
But it was not fun, and it was not pleasant, and it was decades of poor investments that got me nowhere.
Well, I'm glad that you learned that lesson, and you're really good at it, and you can
now
explain it well. I'm glad that you can see it, and
I hope other people do too.
Me too. And your example was like my exact life before. I clung on to this possibility. He is a very smart person. His father's a genius.
Lots of potential.
Tons of potential there. But that, like you said, that the desire to change and do something with it, that is negative.
Yeah. And you ignored that meter the whole time, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
All good.
But
I've been there.
I thought, and it goes back to, there was a little bit of action. And so because he got clean with me, we got clean together. This is to me, it was a big sign. Oh, he really wants to change his life. He's turning his life around. He's getting his shit together. We're getting clean together. We're going to be a parent. We're going to be parents.
But those are all separate topics of the meter, right? Someone might have a high desire to get fit and work out, but have zero desire to get rich. And so you're still waiting for them. He has so much potential. He's still fit. He can start his own gym. He could be super rich. And you're clinging to that. And it's like, that's a totally different topic.
Yeah.
His ambition for fitness is off the charts. Great.
Yeah.
Or his ambition to get clean is off the charts. Great. But his ambition to become a superstar entrepreneur is super low. You got to look carefully and see clearly. And you can't get distracted by high potential of anything. Well, you have to look at the other meter on that topic.
I was just going to say that. I'm glad you said it on that topic, because for me, the potential was like an overall general thing. But really, in looking back, the potential was to learn skills. He didn't like to read, and he didn't want to watch long videos.
No ambition to learn skills.
And like, so you have potential to learn these skills because you're so smart.
But you have no desire to learn skills.
No desire to learn. So immediately I should have seen that the graph thing that you said, this goes for everything. This is not just for your relationship. I mean, that's one area, yes. But there's so many, back to the boxes. This is for the boxes. Like, which one? Each topic needs to be looked at. This potential for what? And so I'm glad you mentioned this.
You might find someone who has the potential to be a great dom, like a very dominant person. Huge potential. I could see it. But what if they have no desire to? Yeah. What if they want to be a switch or asexual or whatever?
It's good.
Yeah. You gotta see these 2 meters, and they have to match. They have to be good in a good zone for your investment to work out.
Do you guys see the amount of amazing, wonderful gold value that you're getting for free on this podcast? And if you think this is good, then you really ought to read our book. It's called Eyes Wide Open, Volume 1. And the link to look at it and purchase is in the description. But this is like amazing with the advice and the perspective changes and your point of view is next level, and you changed my life. I went from heroin addict, and I'm still fat, but I was a lot fatter before, and I was a miserable human being, and you changed my whole life with conversations just like this. So I hope that you, whoever watching and listening, that you understand the incredible value that you're being handed right now. So
yay!
I just want to throw that in there. That's and this podcast is sponsored by me. Yes. There are a lot of women over 35 who have turned down men when they were younger, hoping to find someone better, and many of them end up alone. They don't ever consider investing in helping a man who at 25 doesn't have what she wants, but then at 35 they wonder where all the good ones are. So why do so many women just wait for something better to come along?
Because somehow many women have adopted a shopping for a mansion mentality. That's their vibe. That's their approach. That's their perspective on dating and relationships, on marriage, on husbands. They are shopping for a mansion.
You're saying shopping for a mansion, not shopping for a man.
No. Well, same thing. They're shopping for the mansion equivalent of a man.
Oh, okay.
So if we were in a home buyer's market, if you and your girlfriends were all looking for homes, how would you approach it? So back to the boxes, the check boxes. Mm-hmm. It's you and Jessica and Samantha and Lisa, and you all have your boxes for what you want in a house, and you're ambitious girls and you want to live well, so you have quite a few boxes. Mm-hmm. And you all basically have a mansion's worth of check boxes. I want a wine fridge. I want a marble island. I want granite countertops. This one wants gold-plated hardware on the cupboards. This one wants acres of lot or whatever. And you all go out in the housing market and you're all shopping around. And if you go across 10, 20 different houses and they're not checking very many of your boxes or even all of your boxes, you all say no because you're shopping for mansions, right?
Right.
But in decades past, it's much more common. Oh, this one has one marble island and it's kind of a fixer-upper and it's falling apart and the plumbing's not great, but it does have that marble island. And, Samantha's like, this has the giant lot I want, but it's not near the schools I want. And I guess we'll have to commute pretty far and we'll have to fix up this and that. And the basement's not finished. But in decades past, they'd just be like, whatever. It's a fixer-upper. I'm going to invest in this. I'm going to invest in this home and make it my own. We're going to grow with this home and we're going to polish it and we're going to fix it up. It's something that I can get. It's something I'm a match for right now at this time in my life. It's what I'm attracting. Right. I looked on the market. I couldn't find the mansions. It wasn't happening. But in decades past, no problem. Mm-hmm. Find a man, partner up, build a life together. Maybe he's not perfect. Maybe he needs a little work, but they were fine with it. It's like trad wives or whatever, right?
Yes.
Now, though, it's much more common to have the shopping for a mansion vibe. I'm out there shopping. If I don't find my mansion, it doesn't land in my lap, I'm saying no.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. So when I was in my 20s, a lot of my girlfriends were open to being with fixer-upper dudes. And I had a friend, and I clearly remember her using those exact words. She's talking about a new guy she was dating. Oh, he's a fixer-upper, but I got this. And even I went into my relationship with both my ex-husbands with this mentality. Neither of them dressed nice. Neither of them knew how to style themselves or take care of themselves. In my mind, it was very normal and natural to guide them, not tell them what to do, but because I'm a traditional wife, to guide them to improve their style and the way they come across to the world, especially together as a family. But I don't think I've ever heard now in this day and age. I can't remember the last time I heard a woman talk about a man that way, as a fixer-upper, and not in a disrespectful way, but in I can improve him.
What? And it's not even about changing or improving someone. It's about building something together. I'm willing to invest is what it is.
Right.
It's an attitude of I'm willing to invest. I will help this person if they want to check my boxes.
Right.
They say they want to be rich. They say they want to be more confident or be wittier. I will help them become that. I will be by their side and I will invest. We can fixer-upper our relationship together. Yes. And maybe they'll help me as well. Maybe they'll invest in me and help me lose weight and help me be fitter or happier or whatever.
Yeah.
This is the attitude. There are two attitudes you can have. You can have the shopping for a mansion attitude where I want everything perfect landed in my lap and I'll just buy my mansion.
Yeah.
Pluck it off the shelf, the perfect mansion. Or you have the find something that checks most of my boxes, invest in it and make something great. Create my own mansion from the starting point. If you want to shop for a mansion, you have to be a millionaire. So in the dating market, if you want to shop for a mansion, you have to be a perfect 10 woman. You have to be 9.5, something really high. You got to be the whole package. Drama free, practically a virgin, super hot. This is what guys want most of the time. So if you are that person, you can take your pick. You actually probably can shop for a mansion.
Right.
You have guys throwing themselves at you. Just take your pick. If you have become a dating millionaire, the equivalent of a millionaire for these modern women, right? I don't mean actually own money or be a millionaire.
No,
in the dating market. Yeah. But if you're not that, and not everyone is that, in fact, there are very few of these, so the chances are you are not one of these, then you don't really have access to shop for a mansion, and you're kind of going to have to settle for a fixer-upper. But a lot of modern women either think they're at shop for a mansion level and they're holding out for one, or they know they're a fixer-upper level, but they're still behaving like this, and they're just like turning up their nose at the fixer-uppers that come along. And if you do that for long enough, what happens to a woman's value over time? Not always, but many women allow their value to drop in the dating market. They do not keep up the maintenance. They don't keep up their youth. They don't try to become much better. They're not becoming more peaceful and bubbly and harmonious. They're becoming more dramatic and demanding and entitled. They're literally allowing their value in the dating marketplace to drop. It's very common. Not everyone does this, but if you're watching it, it might be you. I don't know. And as their value drops in the market, they're getting further and further from mansion shopping. So by the time they're 35, not only can they not shop for a mansion, they might not even be able to attract a fixer-upper.
Yeah. Well, we know somebody who is 37, 38, who like is mansion shopping, but does not want to improve her appearance, doesn't want to work on her having a business or even like a job where she's happy, she just wants the guy that will give her the 4 kids, the mansion and everything that she wants, and let her do her thing. And I remember asking her, and if he cheats on you, she said, I don't care as long as I have the money and the kids, like you can do whatever we want.
Yeah, so for her, cheating is a low box. And that's actually fairly common for many women. A lot of women it's not the end of the world. Men have urges, yada, yada, yada.
They don't like it. It's not their preference.
They're not doing cartwheels.
No, but they're not going to end the
What if a man steps out? They'll often work through it or whatever. Right. But for men, usually, the cheating box is a top box. Like fidelity is a top box. I want a woman who's loyal to me. I don't want to deal with any of this bullshit. And people say it's, from evolutionary and biology, and the guy doesn't want to be raising someone else's kids and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. Point is, it's very common where that fidelity box is fairly low for the woman or the femme partner, and the fidelity box is very high for the man or the mask partner.
Yes.
Regardless, the mansion shopping attitude for relationships is a very particular thing, and you got to be real careful with it. And if you're going to hang on to that attitude and you can't find your mansion and you can't find the guy who checks all your check boxes, maybe you're at attractive fixer-upper level. Maybe you're not as good as you think. And every day that goes by, for most women, they will allow their value to drop and they'll become less appealing. And now they have even less mansions or less fixer-uppers or less homes, men, to choose from, and they wonder what happened. And I'm like, it's not rocket science. This is not difficult to figure out.
Yeah.
You spent all your youthful, beautiful years waiting for a mansion to land in your lap, and you refuse to invest in a slightly subpar guy or a guy who could use a little work. But this is a relationship. We are adults. We are human beings. You're supposed to be building something together. You're not here to get a catalog of men and pick out the perfect one who checks every single box while you don't do a lick of work and you just, yoo-hoo, off to my pedicure. Like, life is good. You're here to do work and grow and blossom and help one another and grow together and build one another up. And most men, modern men, are actually fine with a fixer-upper. They'll get with a bigger girl. They'll get with a poor girl. They'll get with a dramatic girl or a girl who's got psychological issues or whatever. They're like, it's whatever. We'll work through this. They're totally willing to invest. Not all the time. These generalizations are going to get me in trouble. But you just look at the trends. Yes. You can see it's fairly common that guys are willing to work on shit.
Well, even with us, I started this podcast saying you ticked almost all my boxes and I did not tick almost all yours. But you were willing to do that. You were willing to invest and to grow with me and for us to grow something together. So
I know they're mansion shopping.
Right.
And if I wanted to mansion shop and have my pick of all the best girls, I would have to be a perfect 10 or a 9 man. I'd need to be like 9 figures or 10 figures or something, right? Like I'd need to have the wealth and the wit and the confidence and all of that stuff. And now maybe I can mansion shop.
Yeah.
So it's super weird for me to be below that level as a man and be out there shopping for the perfect girl and she doesn't land in my lap. And
there's some entitled men like that too.
No, I know, but it would be weird if I did that. That's what I'm saying. There's always exceptions and people who do one or the other, or people who are from both kinds of attitude. But the whole point is, whatever your attitude is, your status as a person needs to match it. You shouldn't be out mansion shopping if you're not a 9 or a 10.
Right. Well, if I was in the dating market now, I would know that I need to, again, work on my mind, body, and finances before I could mansion shop. Not that I ever would, but.
Or even fixer-upper shop.
Yeah, like to even, yes, to even fixer-upper shop, I can't say to somebody,
I'm a single mom with 3 kids. Yeah.
Well, I want you to fix your crap because you're a fixer, not that you are, but you're a fixer-upper. But I also am a fixer-upper, but I'm just going to chill over here. We'll fix ourselves together. I have to have some sort of leverage is the word that's coming into my mind because I fixed myself up. So
now I can ask someone else.
Now I can ask someone. Yeah. But that's why I think you're able to, is because you went through those years where you were beyond fixer-upper.
Oh, I was a hovel.
Yeah, but you fixed yourself. You did exactly what I just said. You got your crap together. You stopped being homeless. You built a business. You worked with Evan. You grew something and you became enough and you grew not just financially, but you became a completely different person than you used to be. So now you're at this, when we met, at the stage where you can say, like, I'm okay with fixer-upper because I fixed myself. You've done the work. So I think maybe this might be important for people, for anyone out there who's thinking, oh, well, maybe I can, instead of trying to aim for the 1 or 2% of guys that all the women are going for, maybe I'll be open to a fixer-upper, but fix self first, fix yourself, and then be open to fixing someone else or growing something with someone else. So.
Yeah, and people are probably going to get triggered by fixing, but I hope everyone gets the point. We don't really mean fix people.
We don't mean fixing. This is just...
It's just a metaphor.
It's just a metaphor. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Okay, so moving on then. Mm-hmm. So how do we know when we should invest in somebody?
It's as simple as checking with yourself. Is this worth it? And this is something people do all the time. Is this guy worth it? Is she worth it? Is it worth sticking around? Is it worth leaving? Is it worth having the conversation? People do it all the time.
Yeah.
But you got to do it for real and for serious and tune into your heart and tune into your intuition and make a commitment. Like, if something is worth it, the idea isn't to ask, is it worth it in this moment for now, in this feeling? Does it feel worth it? The question is it worth it on a long-term scale? Like, give yourself a due date. Is it worth to give another year of my time to this person? Is it worth to give 6 months? Is it worth to give 2 months? Is it worth to give a week?
Right.
And the more in tune you are with your heart and your soul and your purpose and your life and your checkboxes and the other person's checkboxes, the easier the answer will come to you. Is it worth it? If you have someone who checks almost all your checkboxes and there's one that's missing and they have a high ambition for change meter, it's like, this is a gimme. Of course it's worth it. They check all the boxes and they're willing to change. Like, what? Just invest a little time. Come on. But if they check barely any boxes and some of the big ones, the deal breakers, aren't checked, and they're like saying they want to change, but you look at their actions and clearly their desire for change is very minimal, it's like, that ain't worth it. What? That's a nightmare.
Right.
They don't even check your boxes as it is. And you want to stick around for another year hoping they change with this zero desire for change meter?
Right.
But your heart knows. You can tell. If you ask this about your ex, is it worth it? Is it worth it for me and my heart and our relationship and the world to give 6 more months to this person? Or is it worth it for me to leave ASAP, to start making plans, to get out now, to cut my losses? But no one asks this stuff. Is it worth cutting my losses? Is it worth getting out? Is it worth committing for another 6 months? But they're always asking, is it worth it, like moment to moment? Yeah, that's it. That's relationships, right? That's life. That's humanity. You check with your gut. You check with your intuition. You check if it's worth it. If something's not worth it, you get out. You have a shitty job for like a year or two. Eventually you get fed up with it and you're like, this is not worth it. And then you quit.
Yeah. That's good.
But you could have figured out this is not worth it in the first 4 months.
Yeah, you could have. And also, I think if you go back to what we're saying about like the results, is it worth it? Because in this last 6 months, they've done jack to do the thing they said they were going to do. Or, okay, well, maybe they've made baby steps towards this. And I think that may be part of it too.
Yeah, well, keeping your word might be a really big box for some people.
Yeah. Lots of women will shop around for a better man, like we talked about a little bit ago. And each time they realize that's not the person for them and they break up. Sometimes, not all women, but sometimes they tend to attract worse and worse and worse each time that they're looking for a better man. So why are these women attracting worse instead of better?
Well, remember what I said about most women let their value drop in the dating market over time. They start with youth and purity and loyalty and no hangups and no psychological issues. They haven't been burned and they're not bitter. What happens over time? Their youth goes down, their beauty goes down, their psychology gets messed up. They get more hangups. They're more neurotic. They're more demanding. They're more bitter. They're more opinionated. These things are not that valuable to men, to the dating market, but they're stacking them up like it's candy, right? So their status in the dating market and their appeal in the dating market is gradually going down. Now, some women elevate their value. Some go up. Yeah. They become more fit over time. They become more successful or more harmonious or cooperative or submissive or whatever is valuable in the market. And they get more options.
Right. Okay.
Like Beyonce gets more options between when she was 18 and when she was 28. Like she actually opened up her possibilities for dating, but your girlfriend may not have gone that direction.
Right.
So it just makes sense. They started shopping for mansions when they probably shouldn't be. They should be shopping for fixer-uppers. They don't settle for any fixer-upper. They don't find the mansion that checks all their boxes, and they're still on the market looking for homes, like looking for a match. But their buying power, their leverage, their credit, their status as a buyer, as a shopper in the dating market is going down, and they're not doing a thing to work on it. Unless some people like Beyonce are actually gaining more buying power, and they can take their pick of men.
Right.
They're very appealing.
Right.
What do you think's going to happen? If you spend 20 years of your life from 20 to 40, like hoping that mansion is going to land in your lap and you're going to check all the boxes, and you refuse to invest in anyone else in humanity, you turn away every fixer-upper, every simp, every beta, every guy, every less than ideal guy, you turn them away or dump them. What's happening to your buying power over time?
Lessons.
Yeah. And even if you do stay in shape and stuff, you're still going to get more hangups and neuroses. Like most people don't come out of that unscathed and unscarred.
No, because if you've gone through a few relationships that
you bring that baggage.
Yeah, that have been toxic or abusive or just didn't work out over time.
And you think more good men are going to come flocking to you now that you're like that?
No. And you said the word baggage. So as every relationship we have, every significant relationship we have in our life, we gain a little bit of baggage with each one.
It's very common to end up with more baggage.
Right.
But like I said, I've invested in so many people and I had so many of these intense relationship betrayals. You'd think I'd come out with a tremendous amount of baggage. Like, I feel like I should make up names for these people, but like A and M and J and all these people, like you'd think when you met me, I would have a ton of baggage, but I don't feel like I did. I never held anything they did against you or saw you as like them. I would sometimes point out things they did to show you like you could learn from their mistakes, but I don't feel like I brought much baggage. I'm still open. I'm still vulnerable. I'm still happy to be betrayed. I'm still happy to pivot a million businesses. And
you have more baggage about being homeless than you do of your relationships.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And I don't have much of either.
No, but it's normal. And of course.
It's whatever. My point is, it's possible like to become a wiser investor and more open-hearted from your relationships, but it is extremely rare and unlikely. Yeah. And so most women, or many women, gain the baggage and their value drops in the market and their options close up and dry up. And now they can't shop for mansions. They can't shop for fixer-uppers. Yeah. They have to shop for an igloo, like,
or a yurt.
Yeah, like some pretty rough stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't know. Not rocket science. Anyone could have predicted this.
Okay, so this is really, really helpful. All right, so there's a lot of people who may be wondering this. They're trying to date and they're meeting people. How do you know when you should invest in someone if you just met them?
Can you meet someone without giving them your attention?
No.
And so right in the beginning of this podcast, we agreed that you invest focus and attention and time and love.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can't meet someone without giving them some attention, haven't you already invested in them automatically?
All right, fair play.
And so then when you invest your attention, maybe you say hi or ask a question, what do you do? If they answer, I run a podcast, Fresh Views on Taboos, every episode is 100 hours worth of traditional education, then you're like, okay, I'll invest more time and energy. If they say, I don't know, nothing, man, I just smoke weed, then like maybe you don't invest more attention. You see what I'm saying? Like every time you meet someone, you're investing a little bit anyways.
Yeah.
And based on their responses and how things go over time, you're deciding whether or not to invest more. You're basically asking, is it worth it? Is it worth it every time? A subconscious little check, is it worth it? Depending on how they behave, how they look, their vibe, their energy, their wit, their humor, their status, their career, whatever. You're always judging, should I invest more in this person? Now, not everyone's great at it. Sometimes they're poor investors and we make mistakes and whatever, but you're always investing in everyone you meet. And then you're deciding whether or not to invest further as it goes.
Okay. That's really good. Thank you. Super helpful.
And that's why the phrase, be choosy with your circles, or be selective with your friends, or you are the 5 people you hang around with, or whatever. The reason those phrases are so strong and compelling and helpful guidance is because literally there's only so much of you to go around. There's only so much of you to invest in others. And if you're making poor investments in poor social circles, if you invest and hang around like 5 neurotic narcissists who are going nowhere and gonna end up dead in a gutter, this is a poor investment of your time. If you invest in a bunch of melodramatic people who just keep you running around in circles like a chicken with your head cut off, this is a poor use of you. You are investing yourself poorly in life, and you will get poor rewards or results or return on investment back. And this is why, even though it's hard to cut out certain people, you have to, because you're throwing yourself away with these investments. Trust me, I know. I have done this and paid for it dearly. And I've had other people stop investing in me when I don't look so great, when it doesn't seem like it's paying off. And it's fine. They should. I'm not mad about it. It was up to me to not look like the write-off weed smoker who's going nowhere. If that's what they see, that's on me.
Yeah.
And you can say, but you're not like that. It's like, but I looked like that.
Yeah, you weren't. But
they're thinking, outside, is it worth it? Is it worth it? It doesn't look worth it. It's very confusing signals. I'm sending mixed signals. Maybe I am still worth it, but they don't see it. And why would they? This stuff matters. And when you're investing yourself in your social circles, which you're always doing, you watch what results you get, because it's going to match. It's going to match how well you invest.
And that you are the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is true.
Yeah.
When I invest my time and attention into people that I love very much, but who are not the kind of people that I really want to spend time with. Yeah. And they are super low meter. I start becoming that. Mm-hmm. And recently I was made very clear to me by my actions and decisions that I was giving too much attention to those people in my life. And it was a very slow thing. It was here and there, then a little bit more, and then I find myself making dumbass decisions that I instantly regret. So yeah, it's very true. And it's something that you've taught me and I've taught others. And it really wakes people up, because I think that understanding this helps you gain some self-awareness. If you pay attention to the people that you spend the most time with, those 5 people or 4 people, do you want to be number 5? The kind of person you want to be, are you surrounding yourself with those same kinds of people? I want to be the kind of person who grows and loves change and makes a lot of money and helps a lot of people and crushes my life and really is amazing. So I'm surrounding myself with the one person that I know like that, so that I can welcome other people. And I have met other people who are wonderful, and we're not as close because I don't know them that well. But the point is as I let go of those people who I love dearly, but sometimes you have to be the person you really want to be. And that's okay. You have to decide, do you want to be the 5th shitty person, or do you want to have a whole new group and be one of the kind of people that you want to be? So thank you so much. Disney and the media effed up my image of what love is by feeding me and most women toxic relationships as what to aim for. From Joker and Harley to Sleeping Beauty to Ross and Rachel to Romeo and Juliet. The list of famous toxic relationships is ridiculous. And I even I made a list of my favorite fictional couples and broke down how each one of them is toxic and why. So why do so many women want a man like Noah from The Notebook, who, by the way, was completely treated like trash, gaslit, and manipulated? So why do most women look up to these kinds of couples?
Why do most guys think the positions they see in porn is real life? Why do most guys think being a badass is being like their action superhero stars in Hollywood movies?
Because it sounds good. I don't know.
Because they're avalanched with stories. Like, they're just put in front of these role models all day long. No one teaches them otherwise. They can't tell reality from fantasy, right? They don't have basic skills. Like, they can't see fiction and understand that this is not real. They were raised on TV, like put in front of the TV and inundated with all of these images and stories and role models. And no parent came along and made certain that they could distinguish fantasy from reality. In fact, most of the parents weren't even there. They didn't even have an example of one good relationship in their entire life. So it's pretty difficult to learn under those circumstances, I would say. We learn to walk and talk by copying and imitating the examples around us.
Right.
If you grew up around a bunch of hunchbacks, you would have grown up with some weird, limp, hunchback manner of walking.
Right.
But why? Because that's all you had for examples. Literally nonstop examples of this, and not a single healthy, proper walk example. Well, pretty tough to break that paradigm or learn something new. It's possible, but not likely. And so if you throw all these kids in front of these Disney movies and action movies and all they learn about sex is from porn, like they don't have a single healthy example, what's going to happen? Like, there are consequences from raising our children on media. Real parenting does the hard work and separates fantasy from reality and is a little choosy on what the kids get exposed to and make sure they have enough healthy examples to balance all the bullshit examples. I'm not saying you have to protect your kids from everything or whatever, but you do need to balance the examples. They can't just see constant terrible posture everywhere. They need to see some people standing tall.
Right.
They can't just see a whole bunch of bullshit Hollywood media. They need to see some healthy, mature people working through things, investing in one another.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And so, most femme-leaning people as kids were raised on Disney movies and as teens, romance novels. This is fantasy. It's all fiction. This is all fantasy. That's why it exists. Everyone wants it as an escape from real life.
It's true.
But this is all they have for examples. And then if one person tries to teach them it's not like that, they fight back because one tiny example speaking the truth or a tidal wave of media that they've been raised on for decades. Like, I try to tell someone love isn't like Disney, or I try to tell some frat guy that sex isn't really like the porn you watch. Like, yeah, whatever, dude. Yeah. I'm shouting into the wind.
Right. Well, it makes a lot of sense. And I got emotional when you were saying all that because I 100% raised myself. My mother worked 3 jobs. She was doing all she could for me and to make sure we had everything we needed. And the TV was my companion. I'm an only child. But yeah, so I have that tidal wave of fictional toxicity surrounding me. And then my mom didn't get into a good relationship until I was 15. And by then, I had all that already established into my mind. And now I understand what a long-term good relationship can be, because even though, they're humans, they make mistakes. They're a really good example. Well, not a great example, but a really good example of how you can be long-term with somebody. But anyway.
Yeah. Or read Love by Osho.
That's so good.
Read Love and Respect by Eggers.
That's
Eggers.
also good.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are sources out there that teach healthy, loving relationships.
Yes.
But they're not flashy and they're not served up to you on the TV nonstop. And you actually have to process them. Read Intimate Communion by David Data. I've studied so many great, healthy relationship resources to balance out the Hollywood stuff. Plus, my parents were an amazing example of a healthy relationship. When I was younger, anyways, they were amazing.
Right.
So you could say I'm lucky or whatever, but it's doable. Solutions exist, and you don't just have to be served up the pablum from the media and just devour it, right? Mental diet matters, and you actually get to control yours. When you're a kid, you don't have as much control over it, but the more you age, the more personal, autonomous control you get, and the more you're allowed to go to a library and read about this stuff or look it up on the net.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I'd like to challenge anybody who has looked up to these toxic fictional relationships and thought, oh, I want something like that, because I've done it a million times.
You do not want that.
You do not. But the challenge is for you to do what I did. Make a list of your favorite fictional characters, then really break down their relationship. Look at each one carefully and ask yourself, is this a healthy adult relationship?
It can't be, because stories need conflict melodrama and pathos.
Yes.
But your relationship at home, like, I'm hoping you don't want a relationship full of melodrama and pathos and toxicity and conflict.
But
you want harmony and peace, and to build something together and have a safe refuge from the chaos of the world. Keep your melodrama in the dramas, in the movies. That's where it belongs.
Yes.
In the fiction, not in reality.
But I think that this is a male female whatever issue, because a lot of women, we love drama. It feels like this is care, though it's not, because of what we're talking about, because of the media. But most men, they just want peace and calm and quiet. So then in a long-term relationship, when the man is happy and he has that peace, calm, and quiet, there's no drama for the woman, and then we start to make up drama. I did this recently, and this could be part of why some dramatic stuff has happened.
It's fine. You need a balance. Like, you need a balance, and you can get the drama from different sources. Like, the drama doesn't have to come between the two of you. The drama can come as the two of you take on the world. Like, there's enough drama in the world already.
I agree.
None needs manufactured, I swear.
But I think women start to become bored, because I know statistically women initiate the divorce first and they seek the divorce, and then afterwards a man will remarry, and a lot of women end up single and like, I shouldn't have divorced my husband, because we have this idea of what a relationship looks like, and a lot of times it happens to be dramatic and toxic and argumentative, and this is passion. And if you look at somebody, a fictional character like Harley in the Joker, you couldn't be more toxic. Yeah, I was obsessed with them.
Sure. And a lot of guys think if you're not doing backwards yoga, then it's not real sex life or whatever.
Right.
But this is fiction, man.
Yeah. Like, I would just like to challenge you all to look at those things and see where you can improve your feelings and thoughts on this, because writing it out was huge for me, where my mind was blown. All of these relationships that I had looked up to.
Writing is one of the most powerful things. Writing is some insane tool. It sounds like fluff. It sounds easy. It sounds like a waste of time. It sounds boring. It is insane value for any human being, because it rewires your neurons. It does some weird shit. It starts making you aware of things you've never seen before when you honestly, truly write out your feelings about any topic. And you can crumple up the paper when you're done. I don't care. But that process of writing, next level.
Agreed. I have to, and it doesn't matter the topic. You could do it just on this.
And I don't want to hear like, I'm not a writing person or whatever. Don't tell me until you've sat down and tried it with a commitment to see what happens when you make your hand or fingers or keyboard or whatever translate your words into something physical, to translate your mind into a physical reality. It does some shit, man. I'm telling you.
I totally agree.
Anyways, side tangent.
Yeah, thank you, though, for saying that. Because if you want to improve your life or your relationship or anything, this actually is quite key to it. So I know somebody who thinks that sleeping around is the right way to find out if someone is a right fit for them. Can sleeping around damage a potential relationship with someone?
So there's 8 billion people on the planet. There's a bunch of porn stars who like won't even get with you unless you've slept around. So there are some people who this is a huge win.
Right.
But on the whole, statistically, I think a large majority of people would prefer a lower body count, or a large majority of masculine people anyways prefer a lower body count on their partners. It's not super high value and appealing to most masculine folks if their partner has like 100 bodies, right? They're like,
yeah.
they lean a lot more towards the virgin or a couple or a handful of bodies. They want less neuroses, less baggage, less hangups. They don't want to be dealing with a whole ton of extra kids and family and all this kind of stuff. It's generally more appealing to have less bodies. But like I said, there's all kinds of people. The sleep around people will find the other sleep around fans. It's not that big a deal.
Gotcha.
At the same time, if you think about it in our shopping for mansions metaphor, our home buyers market, right? The dating market or the home buyers market. Mm-hmm. If you look at this parallel, sleeping around to find the right one is kind of like staying in that home and then down the block and then down the next block for about a week of each. And people are like, what are you doing? Why are you
sleeping at these houses?
Well, because I need to actually experience the house and see if it's a right fit for me. And I mean, I guess like that. I mean, that could work. You know, you're experiencing different houses. You're living in them for a little bit, and you're gonna find it if it's a fit. I mean, it would work, but also it seems silly. It seems ridiculous. It seems like a whole lot of work for nothing. You shouldn't need to sleep with all these people or be in all these homes to find the right one for you. You should be able to check it out from afar, maybe kick the tires, like kick the siding a little bit, like get a quick once over and know. So you should be able to date someone, you know, like get a vibe of them to see if they're even worth spending a night in or a weekend or whatever. So you could meet many, date a few, sleep with even less. And so you'd only need to sleep with one or two or a handful to find the one you want to commit to. Just like buying a house. Like they're very similar because your relationship is your home, right? It's your home. You know, you're looking for your home. I want to feel at home with this person. Yes. And it's very similar. And they're very similar processes. Like you go inspect all the homes or inspect all the guys and see what you like and take your pick and whatever. And then maybe in your life, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 homes, 5 homes tops, whatever, a low body count of homes, because ideally you're looking to invest in people and grow together and make that home feel like a home. And that takes time and energy. And it's not going to be done by just hopping from home to home every 2 seconds and staying there for a weeknight or whatever and so on. So if you buy into that metaphor and that parallel, and if that makes sense to you, then yeah, I could see how sleeping around would be kind of weird and awkward. And it might harm your chances of finding the home you want to commit to. And they might get taken off the market by the time you get back around to them or whatever.
Right.
So, like I said, I'm not coming down either way, you know, sleeping around's good or sleeping around's bad, but I'm saying there are pros and cons. There are upsides and downsides. Whichever choice you make is going to take your life down a certain path, and it's going to introduce you to certain kinds of people. Mm-hmm. And in the market in general, a high body count on a feminine partner doesn't usually open up their options and give them a ton of choice because it's a turnoff for a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it may be a generational thing also. I'm not really sure, but like going back to the whatever podcast, I recently was watching, and this young lady was like maybe 28 at the oldest, had a 326 body count. I rewound it to make sure I heard the correct number because I'm not trying to be judgmental in any way because I'm not an angel and I'm not innocent.
Maybe it's an Alpha Star or OnlyFans girl. It's not. It's common for them.
But the reason I'm bringing it up is that like when I was that age, this was even among women, this was not something we strove to be or have. Like when we talked about body count, it was always, we shave a little bit off if somebody asks. This is very normal for women to do, to shave the number down a little bit. Same with our age. It's a normal thing. And for men to add to theirs, there's a line in American Pie where they say the number that they give you, if a man gives it to you, you add 3. And if a woman, whatever number she gives, you subtract 3.
Other way around, but yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. Well, whatever. Anyway, the point is that this was never something that I ever heard people bragging about. And I guess he does have OnlyFans girls on there and stuff. So it's possible she was. But like, to me, I want to come across to somebody that I'm dating as an investment as well. And that I don't want to pretend to be someone I'm not and lie, but I think that if you give yourself to somebody in that way right away, it kind of gets in the way of finding out who they are as a person so that you know that you want to continue to invest.
Yeah, it's kind of like going from home to home, trying out the beds,
Like Goldilocks.
but you haven't even checked if there's bed bugs. Like you haven't checked anything.
Yeah.
Did she get STD tests for all 326 people? You know, there's if you get into sacred sexuality and tantra, you're merging your energies with another person and taking on their blocks and characteristics and neuroses. So did she get all the juju from these 326 people? Or is that made up? Is sacred sexuality not a thing? Or is it her beliefs or whatever? I don't know. But I'm just saying there are considerations for this kind of lifestyle. More power to you if you want to do it. I don't know if it's super recommended, but
yeah, I don't judge you if that's what you're choosing to do, but don't be surprised if in the future you throw that number out at somebody and they're shocked and repulsed. That's all I'm saying. And I do believe that when we are intimate with somebody, that we exchange an energy. And this is why every person in my past that I have been intimate with, we still have a connection. And I don't mean connection like I want to be with them and talk to them. No, that when I see them face to face, there's that connect because we exchange energy. So not that I want to be around them or anything, but just saying.
Yeah, but again, this is why a lot of masculine partners want less body count. They want less baggage, and they don't want you to be connected to everyone. It's awkward and annoying. And when they go to a social gathering and 500 guys like all are connected to you, and it's like,
if that's the case, maybe move to a new city, girl. How do we know when it's time to move on from somebody that we have invested in?
I think we covered this before. You ask the question, is it worth it? You get in tune with yourself and you're basically relying on your intuition. But on top of that, how do you improve your intuition? Because not everyone has the same level of intuition. That's a whole other podcast.
Yes.
But basically through experimentation and hard knocks. So my intuition is good because of all of my failed investments. Yeah. Someone else's intuition is bad because they were walled up and they refuse to invest in anyone. They don't want to get hurt. It's like, fine, that's fine. But you will have a shitty intuition. You'll never be a good judge of character. You won't be able to pull this off. You're going to stay vulnerable and walled up. But I can relate to anyone and I'll be able to read them and I'll know when to get out and I'll know when to get in and I'll know when to stay because I have practice and I've experimented it and I've taken my hard knocks. You become a good swimmer when you've swam enough and gotten enough water in your lungs and you've tried different lengths of pool and lake and stuff. Mm-hmm. You become good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of people will never know when it's time to get out because they're not practiced enough and they refuse to practice.
Okay. It's good. Super helpful. I think that along with what you were saying it's really good. So thank you. Oh, this is a very long podcast, you guys. Very long episode, but we had a lot to say and I'm so grateful if you watched all the way to the end and you enjoyed everything that we had to say. You are amazing and wonderful, and I really appreciate all of the lessons that you have given me so that we can sit here today to help people. And we're not perfect at relationships. We're not like, this is what to do to have a great relationship. We're just trying to help you if you're questioning these things, or maybe you've never thought about investing in other people. So thank you for all the wonderful lessons. Thank you for your love and time and your consideration, because you are a very considerate person. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I have one last question. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything that you would like to share, final thoughts with our wonderful audience?
Yes. We live in strange times. We live in a world where people aren't really taught to invest in one another. It's very rare as a teaching. And people are out of practice with investing in each other. And people are scared and hesitant to invest in each other. And most people don't realize this, but this is a huge root cause of all of the things that people hate. Like COVID and climate change and extremist politics and censorship and global elites and all this stuff that bother people and weigh on them and hold them down. It might be hard to see the connection, and I don't have time to get into it now, but a lot of it hinges on people feeling unloved and uninvested in. A lot of people are out there clawing and fighting and striving to get their own and take their own and have more power and have more control because they've been raised to know that that's the only way they'll ever thrive on this planet. They don't know there's another way. They don't know that investing in others, investing in humanity, and being open to the hurt and being vulnerable and taking the lumps can actually result in increased thriving for everyone instead of a selfish, greedy thriving for themselves. And so this is huge. A lot of domestic violence and relationship trauma and emotional damage and mental issues all have this at the root. A refusal to invest in other human beings and show love to other human beings, and to put yourself out there first, and to be okay with getting burned or having an investment not pay off. And so it's up to you if you want to believe what I'm saying or not. I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of proof about it, but I think secretly anyone watching this knows deep down that I'm right. Investing and showing love to other human beings can solve and soothe so many of these issues, and in fact, it would prevent them entirely. Like, they wouldn't even crop up. And I can't magically make you all start doing this, but I implore you, I'm putting a call out and a challenge to you to contribute a little more light to the world, a little more love to the world, and to turn yourself into a wise investor in humanity, because we kind of suffering from a lack of those hereabouts. But that can change with you and me. So thanks for listening.
And that's why our book and this podcast is called Eyes Wide Open.
Keep rising.